Hello, world. What's up, guys? This is Dave with the Fight Bananas podcast. How's everyone doing out there today? Wow, what a tremendous show we have for you about to come up. Tina Pettigrew. It was so funny. Talked to her a couple days ago. Boom. Would love to have you on the podcast. Future superstar in the making. And, would love to talk to her and kind of get the ball rolling. She contacts me literally hours ago and says, Dave, I got big news for you. Let's come on the Fight Bananas podcast tonight. Let's get it going. Big announcement. So let's get it. Tina Pettigrew about to go absolutely bananas. All right, guys, on the Fight Bananas Skype line. How you doing? Tina Pettigrew, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Absolutely. Doing great. Really busy. But it's so funny. We talked, a week ago, 5 days ago, and it was just so cool. I wanted to get you on. Looked into you. I'm like, wow, big time future. A lot of stuff coming. 2020 will be big. And then hours ago, literally minutes ago, you're like, Dave, some big stuff coming, big announcements. Let's kind of start with that. Let's kind of start with the big news and then just have fun later.
Sure, yeah. Sorry. It's been a big week for me. My cat just jumped on the bed and messed up my light, so I really don't want it to fall on my computer. I'm sorry about that distraction.
No worries.
But yeah, it's crazy. It's honestly like I fought on December 13th for Combate Americas in Stockton.
Right.
And since then, the holidays were after that. Thank goodness I had some time to see my family and stuff, but it's like nothing has slowed down at all.
Right.
So it's all great things. Oh my gosh, I need to fix this. I'm sorry.
No, just fix it. Yeah, we're good. I'll make some stuff up. UFC 246, a couple weeks away. Invicta FC's got a big show coming up. I think it's February 7th, Invicta FC 39. You guys might want to watch that. I don't know, but okay.
Yeah, so I would say since December 13th, things haven't really been slowing down. Fortunately, in that fight, I didn't really get hurt at all, so I've been training. Right. And I have some really great managers who have been working on some things for me. So today, 2 things were made official. The first thing is I just signed a 4-fight contract with Invicta FC, which I'm so excited about.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm really always wanted to be a part of Invicta, so it's just so exciting for me. And all of the people that work there are great. And then the next thing that became official today is that I will be fighting on that February 7th card. Again, thank you so much to my managers for really pushing for that. I'm really excited. It's in Kansas City, and it will be aired on UFC Fight Pass Live on February 7th. That's a Friday.
Boom! That is awesome. Humongous. So much to unpack with that, and I got so much stuff for you. But just right off the bat, you mentioned it 3 times, so I'm going to go with it. How important in mixed martial arts? I've talked to so many people. I just had David Arvello, Sucker Punch Entertainment on, great agent on a couple episodes ago. Management in mixed martial arts is vital. It's so important to each individual fighter. So you just said how much great management. How important has that been to you so far in your early career?
Yeah, so I just recently signed with TKO Sports and Entertainment. That is Reese and Mikhail, and so I decided to go with them because I realized, let me back up. I am one of those people who has a lot of business experience, which I've learned that not a lot of people who fight really know about business, the business world, like how people are going to treat you based on, you're the talent, basically.
Right. Right.
And I think having a healthy perspective about that is really important. If you care about your career, you need to make the right moves, when it comes to the people that you work with, the way that you speak, the decisions that you make, whether that regards fighting, sponsorships, media, etc. These are all really important things that can make your career
for sure
accelerate or not accelerate. And one thing that I noticed when I was like, okay, this is time for me to go pro, the skills, the gym, the people behind me technically to help my martial arts, I felt like was in a good place. But I felt like when I looked at people who were good fighters, like really good fighters. There were some of them that were moving forward in their career and getting fights, and some of them that weren't. Still both great fighters, right? And I noticed what the difference was. The people whose career accelerated, the people who got fights, the people who got good fights, good sponsorships, eventually more money, had good managers. And so
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it was just something that I noticed by trying to be objective. And so I tried to be smart about like who I ended up working with too. I did my research. I asked a lot of fighters what their experience was like. I checked out their social media presence and their reputation, their level of experience. I sort of gauged how much time they might have for me, because I think a lot of successful management companies are actually overwhelmed. They have a lot of fighters and a lot of people that they work with. And,
yeah, that's a great point.
I wanted to make sure that I would be a priority, that they would be interested in working with me, that they were just as passionate as I was. So thank goodness I found the right fit.
That's awesome. That's very cool. Talked about business in you. I think you went to a pretty damn great college, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Well, I went to the University of Florida for undergrad, and for grad school, I have a master's in bioethics from NYU. Yeah.
Both great. We're diehard Gator fans here in this household, so I was like, man, great fighter, great personality. She's pulling out the heartstrings, and then she's a Gator. I was like, oh, my goodness.
Yeah. It's true. I'm a Florida girl. I grew up in Florida.
Right.
In Melbourne, Florida is my hometown. In fact, when Combate has you fill out the paperwork and you talk to the media people in the beginning, like before you fight, they asked me, where are you from? Where are you fighting out of? And, I've traveled a lot in my life. I'm originally from Florida. I went to grad school in New York. I lived in Pennsylvania for some time, and now I'm out here in San Diego.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, where am I fighting out of? So I had to think about it for a second. And, I live in San Diego now. This is my home. This is where my team is. But, I'm from Melbourne, Florida.
No, that's awesome. So that's kind of how we got connected. That's how we kind of got connected in a way. Okay, you brought up your team in San Diego. One of the best teams in mixed martial arts. I would love for you to talk about your team and where you're fighting out of and some of your training partners.
Yeah, so I train at Alliance MMA in Chula Vista. And the reason I say in Chula Vista is because there's the Alliance group of jiu-jitsu gyms as well in the area. So just to minimize confusion, ours is the Alliance Training Center. The focus is on MMA at that gym in Chula Vista, San Diego. And I also train with my coach, Coach Dede, who represents Catch 22 MMA, who also used to work with Alliance and just works at another gym now, but I work with him too. Alliance MMA, once I was able to change my schedule where I was able to go to pro class in the morning, that was a big goal of mine for myself for 2019. It accelerated my everything MMA.
Right.
Like the people that are there, I moved out here for a reason, I knew that there would be great training partners that were consistent, that were my size. I knew that Alliance would be able to train women. I know that might sound silly, but a lot of places you go, especially back then,
great point.
Yeah, don't know how to deal with a successful woman fighter. All of my coaches, even things I know that you didn't ask this question, but even things like if you have your period during weight cut, talking to them about this stuff is realistic. This is your career. They're invested in your success too. So it's good to have people who, in ways like that, and also a million zillion other ways, have been there.
Right. No, 100%. It's funny you say that. Been doing this for a while now, and just actually just put out an article about Florida female MMA, and we're gonna get into that in a second about female MMA, Florida, California. We'll get into that in a second. But my point was, even some of them, right? Some of the girls, some of the female fighters have told me it's unbelievable about how some of the fighters and, even people in the media or managers, some of them don't, come up to communicate with them or don't talk to them. They're afraid, it's like a middle school thing of some of them won't want to spar with them and all that. So when you said that, I was like, wow, that's a legitimate, aspect of what camp am I picking? Why am I picking it? And you're like, yeah, no, they're down, to train future female MMA professional fighters and champs. That's what you need.
Yeah, so check it out. The person that I knew coming out to San Diego was Angela Hill. And the reason I met Angela is because she and I did Muay Thai together at a place called Evolution Muay Thai in New York City. So she had started Muay Thai a little bit before I did. And part of the reason I ended up there is because I did my research and saw that Angie was a Muay Thai champ there. I was like, okay, they know how to coach women. Right. You know what I'm saying? So coming out here, there's more women on the team here. And not just that, but people ask me all the time, do you mostly train with women or do you mostly train with men? And I'm like, walk into any martial arts gym. How many women do you see there? I mean, yes, I have great women training partners, but of course I train with men. And not just that, but training with men, especially my consistent training partners who, I say this all the time, but I'm going to say it again, who kick my ass every day.
Right.
Right. You know, like that's what I need. Like they're my size, stronger than me, more experience, tenacious, consistent, beat me up. Like that's exactly what I need. You know, and I'm so grateful to all of the training partners that I have, the high level coaches that I have out here, and just like the experience that like Jeremy Stevens or Phil Davis or Angela Hill, like
studs,
Dominic Cruz, like just like if they help out with a class, or sometimes like especially during the holidays and stuff like that, they'll like teach certain specific things in class. Being able to ask them questions about what works and what doesn't work, or like what their experience was, is just, you really can't replace that. You can't get that anywhere else.
It's invaluable. It really is. Just those four names you just said, Hill, Jeremy, Phil, and Dominic Cruz, who not even just fighting. To me, he's the best commentator. His insight in the game is incredible, and it's like you just watch it and you're kind of like, sometimes I'm watching him commentate and I'm like, no, I'm not watching the fights anymore. I'm just listening to Dominic, and like he's just literally painting you a picture. It's amazing. He really is. He's light years above. You know, his insight of the game is just unmatched.
Yeah, it's funny because my mom used to always say that when you're in the workplace, right, if you're a manager or an owner of a place, let's say I'm the manager or the owner of Tina Pettigrew Enterprises or whatever.
What?
Right? What makes you a good manager is knowing that you can't do it all. So you have to find the people who are good at this specific thing and hire them to do that, so you can have time to do what you do well. I sort of see this the same way, right? Like finding people who know so much more than me that I can learn and grow from their experiences and their knowledge is just like, it's the same thing as running a business. Like you have to be efficient. You can't just like fish through all the other BS that other people might say, you know, like this is a trusted, reliable source that you can really get your information from. And to me, that's like so key, because I'm not wasting my time.
Right. Yeah. Gosh, Tina Pettigrew, you're killing it. I talked to you a little bit through direct message and everything, and I was like, she gets it. She understands the ins and outs, and sometimes it's so, I just feel like you're ahead of the curve. And, okay, so we'll talk more a little bit about the fights. You had 4 in 2018. You kind of finished out your amateur career 4 there. Then you had 1 amateur in 2019, and then you had your first pro at the end, like you just said, December. What is kind of your 2020 outlook? Is there a goal? Was it to be on UFC Fight Pass? Was it to be in Invicta? Is it to, not to try to get too ahead of the curve, but just, there's so many opportunities right now for female MMA. Bellator is on fire. PFL, Kayla Harrison just won the $1 million. Of course, the UFC, that's, if you go to Invicta FC and UFC Fight Pass, UFC just seems like a natural progression. So I would just love your outtake on 2020.
Yeah, so, I discussed with my managers, like, what the benefits are to signing the 4-fight contract with Invicta, because I want to make sure that I do my research and I make smart decisions. Again, like, if you don't do your research and make smart decisions at key points in your career, then you could be like, I'm a great fighter, what happened? Because I've seen it happen before, right. And I want to be smart about it. So I asked the right questions. Well, I hope I did. We'll see. And there's a lot of really great things about fighting for Invicta. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about all of them, actually, now that I'm discussing it. But one of them is that if the big show calls you, they're pretty understanding about, you getting a bigger opportunity.
Right.
And I know that the Contender Series does books people in the summer. Their season is in the summer. If that comes up, I would definitely love that opportunity. Quite a few things have to happen before that. Including getting several fights and several wins.
Right.
I would love to do that. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the end all be all for me. Last year I had 7 or 8 goals for myself for 2019 with room for, if this isn't the best option, then maybe something similar, will happen, with a laser focus on the actual, what this goal represents is me, becoming more self-sufficient. What this goal represents is me getting more direct in my career. What this goal represents is increasing my grappling expertise, whatever it is. So yeah, Contender Series would be great. If PFL had 35ers, are you kidding? I want to win $1 million.
$1 million.
To do that. Dude, watching that tournament had me pumped. Not just that, 2 of my teammates won. One of them won $1 million. Emiliano, I'm like, how can we mess with his name to make it work? But there's so many great things developing in the space of women in MMA right now that I don't want to close myself off, but the sky is kind of the limit, huh?
Right. $1 million. So he's got lunches for the month of January, right? It's like, hey.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's so funny because it's well, first off, realistically speaking, when you make $1 million, think about the taxes, okay? Let's just be smart about that. You're you're a millionaire for however long, and then depending on how much debt you have and taxes you have to pay and manager and gym, you still have a lot of money, a lot more than I currently have. But, be realistic about it. But the second thing is he's still our teammate. He's still very humble. He's from Argentina. And I don't think he'll be back in San Diego until his next camp, probably. Wants to spend some time with his family. But I'm so happy for him. That's just such a huge accomplishment. And mentally as a fighter, to have that opportunity and to seize it and then do what you went there to do is just, oh, God.
Right.
Makes my heart flutter.
Right. And it's also kind of to me it's a map. It's hey, we saw what happened here. I can do it now. And then going back to the Contender, I thought it was great too. I was at this year's first week live. It was the first one in the Apex in Vegas, which is amazing. It was incredible to go. And on that card, one of the main reasons why I did go, friends of the show, friends with my wife, literally just talked to her an hour ago. Hannah Goldie was on the card. She won the fight, and then, she was disappointed that she didn't get the Dana didn't pick her that night, but literally it was 4 weeks later, she's fighting on the UFC card. I believe it was in New York or New Jersey, right? So it's if you want to be in the UFC, if that's one of your goals, UFC Fight Pass, Contender Series, it's like the minor league system. There's no, if you want to be a quarterback of the New England Patriots, you go to Clemson, you go to college football, and that's how you become a professional football player. If you want to be a professional, and it's not like you said, hey, PFL, Bellator has some great opportunities. So they just signed Cyborg, and I know it's a different weight class and all that, but it is what it is. It's just, if you want to be UFC, you kind of nailed it. It's Invicta, and it's Contender Series, and then Invicta FC. I looked at their alumni. It's insane. You look at the top 5 in all the rankings of the UFC, and it's oh yeah, Invicta FC, Invicta FC, Invicta FC. It's just it's incredible.
Yeah, it's such a great place to be because if you look up all of those top 5ers now and watch their fights when they were in Invicta fighting each other, you really see that this was their opportunity to develop. I mean, what a great place to develop as a woman in martial arts, and an exclusively all women's promotion run by women. The fighters are women, that give us opportunities to develop. I mean, it's cool.
It really is. Invicta FC 39, February 7th, Kansas City. A couple more things for you. One is I love the future right now of female MMA, not even just in PFL and Bellator, just strictly almost in UFC. Names like Macy Barber, Aspen Ladd, Felicia Spencer. Just it feels like they're in really, really good hands. The Wei Li, the champion, she's incredible, I think. So I can see like the future, the next 2, 3, 4 years, a lot of good names. Is there anyone that catches your eye that I didn't say, or a name that, oh yeah, Dave, Macy's, she's a monster. Someone on the rise in female MMA.
Yeah, you mean women?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I have to mention Alima McFarlane in Bellator.
Okay.
She's local. I love her. Talk about developing as a martial artist. And, she's such a great person. I think she commentated one, if not maybe more than one of my amateur fights too. She's always been friendly to me. I think that the rate at which Alima is developing is really awesome to watch. And I think that, she's just an inspiration as a person. I love watching her fight. Actually, all of those women at that gym, at 10th Planet, at San Diego Combat Academy, they're all awesome. They're scrappy and growing real fast and stuff. Let's see, who else I love Wei Li, of course. She's
right.
Just thank goodness, the UFC started becoming more global, right? And really looking for talent, in Asia and, all kinds of other places too. She's learned English in 12 weeks, 6 weeks or something insane. She's witty and she's humble and she's funny,
Yeah, and talking about that, to interrupt you with, I talked to David Arvello, Sucker Punch Entertainment, and, she works with Sucker Punch, and we're talking about being smart and all that stuff. Her backing, her social media support, her, literally she wins the title. You have Derek Jeter and Tom Brady talking about her, and then he told me, their China Facebook, right, was the most trending topic of 2019 was Wei Li. She's leaps and bounds. She could be what Georgie Masvidal was to the UFC in 2019. That's what she could be in 2020. The biggest star in the company.
Oh, yeah, and think about the market, too. I think in the United States, we have such tunnel vision because we're very privileged in a lot of ways. But the market in China and in Asia in general is it's huge and influential. Yeah. It's a good business move for the UFC. And not to detract from Wei Li herself, but yeah, I totally agree with you. And she's and not just that, but she's a real champ. She's never going to be an easy fight for anyone.
Oh, absolutely. Agree with that. Real quick, her or Joanna?
In a fight? When they fight? Yeah. I say Wei Li.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, people have opinions. I think that Joanna is a great fighter. I think that everybody can be beaten. I mean, she's obviously been beaten before. Sure. I mean, technically Wei Li has too. But I think that in MMA, it's good to be a specialist, but it's really important to, in my opinion, show your skills everywhere in fights.
It is. It's not, I hate to say these names out, they're just legends of the sport. The Chuck Liddells and the Matt Hughes and that era is over. That era of,
Right. That was the beginning of the sport though. Right. So, obviously respect, but yeah. It definitely is.
Yeah, it's you have to be absolutely amazing everywhere. There's just no weaknesses. If you have a weakness on the ground or boxing or wrestling defense, whatever it is, it's just nowadays there's so much video and so much great coaching out there. The fighters are going to nail that. They will just penetrate your one weakness. So it's just you can't have any holes.
And I know that everybody has certain tendencies and styles and stuff like that, but personally, part of the reason I love martial arts in general, but MMA specifically, is that I feel like I develop so much between fights and just in general that I think that even if people do look at my tape and look at my tendencies and things like that, that when I fight them, I'm not going to be the same fighter anyway.
Right.
Every single time. I'm going to bring so many different cool things that we've been working on in the gym and drilling and things that I think are exciting, because there's literally not one aspect of the sport that I dislike.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to me, if I was a fighter and I had a coach and someone tried to take me down and I tried to knee him every time. So the next fight, I'm like, oh, they think I'm going to knee him every time. I'm coming with an overhand left hook, whatever it is. You know what I mean? I'm switching up the game, so messing up with the tendencies. Two last things for you, kind of. One was just like a budding topic lately in mixed martial arts. The whole end of the decade. They're talking about fighters of the decade and lists and everything of that nature. Just one sticky one, just kept on going back and forth, and there's no middle ground. Like everyone I've asked, there's a legitimate and 2 or 3 second answer. Female of the decade, what is it to you? Is it Amanda Nunes or Ronda Rousey?
Amanda Nunes.
Okay, there you go. There's no middle ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard. I love Ronda Rousey. But I remember, honestly, I think that I love Ronda Rousey, and she deserves all the credit in the world for bringing women's MMA, to the forefront. Although I do believe that Gina Carano inspired a ton of people, including
100%,
Ronda.
100%.
To start, or like, oh, I could do this. Ronda deserves all the credit in the world. But I don't know. I guess I'm just a forward-thinking person. I think that, Amanda Nunes beat her, obviously. But I think that she's going to continue to be dominant, too, because she is a very well-rounded fighter. She does develop, and not that Ronda doesn't, but I just think, for me, since I'm doing MMA now, I'm thinking more about Amanda, too.
Right.
Like, I remember when I first had this feeling of, like, I could do that. It's because I was watching Ronda, and I was like in my infancy of martial arts, and I could see that she was beatable. And everybody was like, oh, she's draw this, she finishes it. And I'm like, okay, she is beatable. Like, I'm watching her with, like, really underdeveloped martial arts understanding, and I can see it, But, yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree with that answer first and foremost. I do. I think she's the I don't know if you know how much you listen to it, and our main thread almost last year, a big thread of the whole entire show. We've done over 130 podcasts now. Amanda Nunes is not even like she's underrated as like the pound for pound fighter. Like I the male or female doesn't bother. Like it's pound for pound. I can argue she's the greatest fighter alive today. I can argue she's one of the greatest fighters of all time. Different weight classes, different styles. The competition she's fought, like I went down. I had a debate with another guy, right? We're going back and forth, and he had another fighter. I'm like, Amanda, Cyborg, Misha, Valentina, like the 3 through 7th best females of all time. Amanda's beat them all. Ronda, like it. There's no argument to me right now. The best thing going. She's been hot for multiple years in a row, and like I agree with you what you just said too. I don't see it stopping. Like I think 2020 could be her best year ever. Yeah. Oh
yeah,
wow.
Totally. And just really quickly, I used to work for a women's organization, and one of the things that we used to talk about a lot was that there is this myth in the business world that there's only room for one woman at the top, right? So that can mentally do a lot of damage if you think that way. So just to be clear, Ronda and Amanda are amazing. So are women in the other weight classes. But really quickly, my male 2019 fighter of the year, or sorry, decade of the decade. Okay. Personally, mine's DC. I know you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you my male one.
It's your show. It's your show. I'm just in it a little. Okay, your male fighter of the decade, DC. Let's have fun then. I say John Jones.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah, I think a lot of people would, but I can't separate my feelings from this. You know what I mean? My feelings from like their technical ability and everything. I love DC so much. I am so inspired by him and
amazing.
His style and his outlook and his passion.
Right.
He's a man that's not afraid to cry, put his heart into everything, and to me, that's just the coolest thing.
Oh, of course. Like, if you are not emotional after a loss, after a devastating, you put everything into it at the toppest of the level, legacy championship loss against your bitter rival, like you shouldn't be in there. Like to shake the hand and just kind of, oh, good time, I'll see you next time. No, that's not real. Like that's, I respect and admire that he has that much passion, like you said. There's so many. Like you can. And they all have great arguments, like the Anderson Silva run, the mid 2002s to 2006, unbeatable GSP, Habib Nurmagomedov. You can throw guys like a little controversy of John Jones or Connor in there, what they've done to the sport.
Even Kate too, because the heavyweights. Yeah,
it's been crazy. It's been what a great year, what a great decade for MMA and all, and like I just so excited for 2020 and beyond. Like this decade, Fight Pass, it's on ESPN. It's incredible. UFC's on ESPN. The 4 letters. It's just everyone knows. Invicta FC, February 7th, Kansas City. Monica Franco. We haven't mentioned her yet, and
Correct. Sorry, I didn't say that. Yes, that is my opponent, Monica Franco. She is Hawaiian. She is scrappy. She has fought some legends. That is for sure. So she definitely has the experience.
For some reason, you said that like you had those like 3 lines memorized.
Oh, really? I didn't. Which is thank you.
That you killed it. No, yeah, it's a good fight. The Invicta FC, they don't just give fights for anyone at all, for sure. And it's it's a big opportunity for you. Monica Franco, she can come in, and that's a big opportunity for her. So it's a big fight.
Yeah, that's what I told my boyfriend when they sent me her as an opponent. I was like, they don't give people easy fights in Invicta.
They don't.
They're all brawls. Oh, gosh. I was just thinking about their last card. I think almost all of them went to decision because they were such even matches. Everyone was bloody. It was insane. It
was like I was following on some of the media stuff, and like the words they were using was massacre, war, bloodbath at Invicta FC. You're right. I remember that. It was insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really.
Well, Tina Pettigrew, give you the floor. Social media, Tina Pettigrew _ on Instagram. Throw out your Twitter handle. We got to get, Twitter. We got to do more of, you and I both.
Working on it.
There you go. But yeah, any sponsor plugs, any social media, any managers, any gyms, anything you want to plug, the floor is absolutely yours. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, of course. I really appreciate it. I would like to thank Genesis Recovery. They are one of my biggest sponsors. They do such great work, and I'm so grateful for their support. Casa de Coronados Cafe, Natalia's family owns that. It's the best breakfast in Tijuana. South Bay Cryo, they do cryotherapy, all kinds of really cool stuff like cryofacials. They do like local cryo if you have like a pain in a specific place. They're in Chula Vista. Veggielish is my meal prep company. Thank you so much for all of the awesome meals. If you're in San Diego, please check them out. And Pet Portraits by Deb, that's my mom's business. She does custom pet portraits. So if you have an adored pet, or even if you have a friend or family member that you want an awesome portrait of, please feel free to hit her up. Her name is Deb Pettigrew. Who else am I missing? Oh, one more. Last but not least, Space Coast Botanicals is I'm telling you, I live in California. I have had many different types of CBD before for stress relief, recovery, helping me sleep, and their product is by far the best I've ever tried. I'm telling you, their tincture is insane. All you have to do is try it once, and you will understand what I'm talking about. So thank you so much, Josh and Katie. Your support really, truly means the world to me. Thank you so much.
100% agree. It's amazing. Like, that's how we started talking. Like, same here. I've used other stuff in the past, and there's other great products and other, revenues in there. But the Space Coast stuff, the balm I use in my body, I'm 35 now with 4 kids. I need every little, positive I can get. It's amazing. It heals my body, back, shoulders, every joint. It's so good. Space Coast Botanicals for sure.
Yeah, I mean, especially when I'm in camp, between sessions, like I wake up, I train, I come home, I shower, I eat a little bit, try to take a nap, get up, go to work, train again, And between that, I'm just like in the middle of that, I'm like, my muscles are sore. My body just wants to recover for the rest of the day. So taking that tincture, especially in the middle of the day, sometimes before the training session in the morning too, just makes my muscles so nice and loose. I feel less tense in my heart. Like they really know what they're doing.
They absolutely do.
Right.
Wow. Tina, really appreciated you coming on. Last three things. Send me the website or link to your mom's thing. We'll shout that out for sure. We'll put it on the podcast and all that. Number 2, go Gators. And number 3, absolutely good skill. February 7th, we're so excited. Invicta FC 39 on a huge, humongous platform, UFC Fight Pass. Tina Pettigrew, thank you so much.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. So nice to chat with you.
Absolutely. We'll get again soon. We'll talk after your win.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Later. Wow, guys, what a great show with Tina Pettigrew, now Invicta FC fighter. So crazy that we didn't know that going into the phone call. We didn't know that going into our scheduled interview tonight. Big future for her, 2020. I think that's like the new motto of the show. It's just 2020 is humongous. Everything here on Fight Bananas, iHeartRadio, YouTube, huge things happening. So make sure you check out Tina Pettigrew. Give her a follow on Twitter and Instagram. Going to be a humongous year for her. I think it's a great fight for her. I really do. February 7th, Invicta FC 39 in Kansas City versus Monica Franco. Thank all of our sponsors, Warhammer Fightwear, Ensto Nutrition, Space Coast Botanicals, Mako Tech Mouthguards. Thank you guys all so much. Big stuff happening with all of them and with us all year long. So make sure you stick with us at Fight Bananas. Make sure you subscribe to the Fight Bananas YouTube page. Also, love, like, and subscribe on iHeartRadio. Pretty big deal right there, guys. iHeartRadio, big deal. And like I said, just keep on showing the love to Tina Pettigrew. Thank you so much for coming on. Continue success. February 7th, Invicta FC 39, Tina Pettigrew.